So today we are going to have our fourth session of this year, and this is it's combining a journey of ecosystem dialogues, which it's not going through the same exactly path from last year, but taking the best outcomes that we've learned and also having some times to review and catch up a couple of the methods that Robert has been sharing with us, and also bringing his content and wisdom so we can actually get to learn and go and evolve ourselves towards like an ecosystem multi-level collaborative space. So today we're having a couple of co-facilitators that are going to be together with us, and I would like to start handling already to Ceci, who is going to be starting this opening session. Every single opening session, we're having the time to bring a little bit about our own perspective and a personal individual perspective that we would like to bring and share. Since we are not having the opportunity yet, hopefully, to see each other in person, face to face, it's a little space that we can bring a little bit about what we are and what are the beliefs, and a little bit about our countries in a way that we can share with ourselves in this community, something that touches us and something that is really important for us as an individual and also organizational, but in the beginning as individual. So Ceci, I'm inviting you to hand over, and it's with you.
Bueno, nuevamente, buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, lo que sean cada uno de
Thank you, and hello to everyone. Good afternoon, good evening.
Son como amigos.
It's so nice to see
Incluso
you.
ahorita
You are like my friends.
Hola.
And I'm so pleased to see Adrian, to see Ricardo, and everyone who is here, Marley. So some of you I see more continuously, others from time to time here on the dialogues, but respecting time we have designed, I invite you to do something. I just invite you to breathe deeply, to gain conscious of the moment we are in, to place us in now and here. Just 1 minute to close your eyes. I invite you to do so, and be aware of that you are breathing now and here. And please do it in gratitude for life. Let's scan our bodies to see how do we feel. Try to connect each one of us with our hearts. Just start slowly coming back to this place, to this moment here with all the rest of the people. Well, I want to start with a question that seems quite casual, but it's not. And it is, what is, it's to invite you to reflect on what you like to do the more in the morning when you wake up. What is that, what you do in the morning? What is this thing that you would like to do first when you wake up in the morning? And if anyone wants to share, feels ready to share, you can take the word and pass the floor afterwards to someone else to share that information.
Bueno, vivo en el campo.
I live on the countryside, says Oscar, with many trees, animals, birds. So the thing I like the most is to hear the nature, because I wake up early in the morning, so they are all awakening. So I say thank you for the life, and I ask for protection in the day when I wake up. And I pass the word to Beth. Give the floor to Beth.
Thank you, Oscar. Very similar to you. very similar to you, Oscar. I have, I'm surrounded by trees and nature in my area, and I get up and go get coffee, do that whole coffee making ritual. Sometimes I make it more fancy than other times. So I go out in the back and listen to the birds. And if I'm lucky, then it's not, raining to where I can stand out there and really feel them all around me. There's an enormous amount of bird noises in my backyard, and it's just so lovely. And I'm beginning to incorporate more meditation and regular, thank you to the universe type activities in my morning. So thank you for listening, and I'll pass it to Ricardo.
Hola a todos, un gusto verlos nuevamente.
It's a pleasure for me to see all of you. And I share the feeling with Ceci is I'm glad to see my friends here. What I like to do in the morning is just to stretch up, drink a glass of water that I do frequently, just to reconnect. And I like to look through the window where I live, here in
está rodeado por
Germany.
muchos jardines, muchos árboles.
And here I have lots of gardens and trees. And especially in this time of the year, which is spring, it's beautiful to see outside and to see the colors and to enjoy the sun and hear the birds. And so it changed with the seasons. When you live in seasons, it changes. What I would like to do more is to be more, to dedicate a space to be grateful, to profoundly give my thanks to life, because I don't do it that every day, but it's something that I would like to do more often. And thank you for hearing. And I give the floor to Matthews.
Thank you, Ricardo. Hi, everyone. I hope you're well. So to answer Ceci's question, when I wake up in the morning, I like to talk to my mother or to my partner, Giselle, because I see that they are still there. And so I like to talk to them and to see if they're well, if they slept well. That's what I like to do. So I now pass the floor to Adrian.
Thank you very much, Matthias. So for me, I would like to answer this question in two ways. Now, the first is when I'm in the field. Now, when I'm in the field, there is a certain tradition that we started, for example, in a village. What we do is that very early in the morning, I think between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., I can get up and start walking in the village. Now we just move around, hitting the doors of those who are still sleeping. And before a few minutes, you can see that you guys are already 10s, 20s. And that in that way, there are some people that didn't sleep well and maybe are feeling bad in the morning, but seeing everybody, their mood just changes. So that's one tradition that we started whenever we go to the field. Meanwhile, in town, when I'm in town in the morning, I just like to do stretches and I take coffee. That's just all. Yeah. So I would like to pass it to Robert.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Lovely question, Ceci. When I wake up in the morning, typically I'm the first to wake up, and by the time I am awake, I every morning take some time to contemplate what it means to be lived through, me and my family and everyone I'm associated with, and contemplate the difference that I'd like to make by looking after others and striving with others to make a difference in the future, and kind of ask that we can be lived through. by what it is that gives us life. And but at the same time, I kind of embody a sense of apology for all that's back to front in the world, and kind of this deep prayer and wish that we can reverse that. And then I get a nice glass of juice and eat a banana or something, and jump onto Zooms like this. So that's me in the morning. Marley, how about you?
Olá, todo mundo. Bom dia.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have two personalities, one in the summer and one in the winter. So the summer personality wakes up early and she likes to look at the sun rising or the rain. And when I am in my apartment, there's a little altar, a place of devotion, and I like to put my thoughts there. The winter personality is more in the reclusion, so she wants to do her thinking in bed. And when I go to my mother's house, she has a wonderful garden. She's an artist, actually. And she knows what is her corner of the garden that I like to stay. So she puts a path for me there. And that's where I like to see the sun beginning and ending. So those are my start of the day rituals. Now I'd like to invite Marcelo to tell us his rituals. Thank you, Marley. I think I start my day with a space for a lemon juice. So I prepare that for me and for Michelle. And then I save 30 minutes or 40 minutes for meditation. And when I say meditation, it's a search for less mental variations, always going back to my body, asking where I am now, where I'm now. And so my mind goes and then I get it back. And after this half hour, I use to pray. And this prayer touches several important points for me. A wish for happiness for everyone and for myself. I also ask that I am clear when I communicate with others, that I can be simple, that I can be generous. And then I ask for a few things: discernment, ponderation, and then I call all my spiritual masters. I name them all, and I ask them for discernment and ponderation, and that I may act in self-awareness for the collective. And other things that I ask that I am a channel, that I am prosperity, that prosperity reaches everyone. So that's how my day begins, with this prayer after the meditation. And I'm also in a sacred environment, in nature. So even better, the start of the day. And so now I call Lorenza.
Hola a todos y todas. Lorenzo,
Hello,
¿cierto?
everyone. You call me, isn't it, Marcelo? Yes.
Sí, perfecto.
Yo cada mañana al
I,
despertar
every day,
intenciono de que
when I
este
wake up,
sea un momento
I put my intention
motivar mi día.
to
Cada
put
hago un poco
all my
mismo.
energy in the morning to activate all my
Me
actions. I try to establish a routine.
abundante para empezar.
I woke up, I do a rich
Y me lo como una serie que
breakfast,
cada mañana veo
and I try to take it looking at the a bit of a series that I like, and then I take a shower because I have to go to the third floor to take a shower because I sleep on the first floor, so I have to move to floors, and then I do all the ritual of the day of making myself, putting all things I need to wake up, and when I finish, I stand up in front of a little table that I have, and I have there some symbols that are important for me. I have started to repeat a sentence that I learned in a book, Empowering Myself. And I use a substance, an oil of lavender, just to be more quiet and tranquil to start my day. That's my ritual. I don't know who hasn't talked yet, but Ceci, Michelle, perhaps?
No.
Ceci?
I'll speak Portuguese. Well, I generally wake up with a feeling of gratitude, of being able to live in the rural area of Brazil. I feel a lot of appreciation when I look at my partner beside me. And so I thank him for his presence in my life. And then my dog comes to the door to say good morning. So she always comes to say good morning and to bring me love. And at the same time, I follow a routine of trying to bring presence and connection to where I am and what I need to do, and not put myself in the service of a continuous anxiety. But there are times that, yeah, I jump out of bed and I run around and I have my breakfast and I go to Zoom, like Robert said, so that I can start working. But in most times, I feel a lot of gratitude and appreciation for where I am in a larger sense. And of course, that I'd like to include in my days a little bit more acceptance of calm, of trying to think that I am in a calmer place. So even as life is very much agitated, how can I bring calm into my life? Not that I need to be involved in all of this hustle and in the mind as well, but that I am able to have this wisdom of calm and tranquility so that I can do my day. So that's normally what I try to do. What about you, Ceci?
Ahorita les voy a mostrar.
I'm going to show you afterwards. I would like to invite Marileni to share. And I don't know if Anna or anything else or somebody else would like to add anything.
Right, so there are days and there are days, right? Usually the first thing that I do when I wake up is to look at my family, to see if everyone is well. You know, I brush my husband's hair. I think this is one of the first things that I have to do in the day before I brush my hair. I have to comb his hair, and then I have to prepare his hair. And then I leave for school or the college, depending on the day. But in this meantime, I always like to sing, to chant. So in our mother tongue, there are a lot of chants that honor daylight. So I chant and I drive as I chant. And now who's missing? Let me see. Let's see if one of the girls would like to speak, and then I go back to Ceci.
Ana, Maritza, Carolina. Ah, que Carolina está bien, puedo hablar después. Maritza, ¿Sigas? ¿O Ana? Ah, ya está contestando. Perfecto. Entonces, Ana, Maritza, Carolina, Ana, Maritza, Ceci, Maritza, Ana, Carolina, Maritza, Ceci, Maritza, Ana, Maritza, Carolina, Ana, 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 Maritza, Ceci, Maritza, Ana, Maritza, Carolina, ¿Puedes traducir, no sé? Por favor.
I just wanted to add that I wake up with a feeling of gratitude of being alive.
By the time we have all this settled, I would like to share a couple of more information related to our program and project in general. So I know this is just very fast, not something that we need that much of information, but I would like to just share my screen. Just an overview so we can take some time, just a couple of minutes by the time we have everything settled. So some just general information about our project. I just would like to have an update about the project general, like the calendar in general. Last meeting, we talked about a little bit about the 3 games that we're talking, and then with games of the heart, where we can actually promote our community in Latin America and also a grassroots level, considering that Adrian's also here, bringing some of the energy of other countries and continents as well. And at the same time, we have a game of fundraising, which we need to have organized information also to finish our program and have a good data. And for those aspects, I'm gonna ask Beth assistance for today. Is it okay, Beth? Let me just open up so I can take a look. Thank you. We also have a great experience that we are designing, which is a collective video of the whole process, which we're gonna have our main facilitators, who's Oscar, who's also gonna give us some hints and some advice, so we can think about the process that we need to have throughout this journey to engage and work as a team, even though we are so separate in different continents and countries. But we at the same time, when we come into this space, we feel like home. So he's gonna come and bring to us a couple of this advices that we need to follow to make sure we can get the best of information and the best way to collect all these videos at the end. Right, Oscar? Yes. Okay. And then at the end, I would like to say a little bit about the funds of the project proposal, so we can have that element for that too. I know that it's not too easy to see, but just to have an idea, in this camera, we're here in May. So we're having in this May 5th. Can you see my arrow or? Yeah, okay. So we are right here. We still have a couple of meetings to come, so we can have the time to engage ourselves. And in the beginning, we're gonna have at the end, the interviews per clusters to have in-depth interviews at this moment. And yes, we have an intention and aspiration. This is not part of our program, but it's a possibility where we can have by the end of this year, depending on how it goes and how we feel like as a community, we have an opportunity to have like a symposium of a Prosocial Latin American project, where we also have some other organizations from different continents, but made by this group of organizations and people that are being part of this TWCF Latin American program. So just having an idea, this is in general journey that we have every 2 weeks. We are meeting together with all the organizations, but we have the co-facilitators, which are working and meeting weekly. So in general, we talk is like, we would like to build this idea of a game, and game as in a specific social construction space of movement embedded in agreements. So games overlaps because they are different worldviews that moves our reality. What we would like to say usually is that game is about playing. So we wanted to collaborate, we wanted to have fun, we have a driven result, but we know that we're always having challenges to go after. So one of the aspects we've been talking as co-facilitators, how much this is important to come, bring in this content of the energy of culturalize in a way that we have fun, we can enjoy, we can learn, but also we can accomplish and achieve some results that we know it's important for us as a community, as a common purpose. In this way that we were talking about the 3 dimensions of the 3 games, which the bigger one is the heart connection game, which is what makes us feel like home, and that's what is making us feel as a community. Doesn't matter where we are, but we just feel connected and we feel happy to see each other every time. And now we would like to see how much this connection can enhance towards to a multi-level of exchange and possibilities to work together as well. The left side is a report game, which we call that is a project and fundraising game, which is where we need to develop a content, we need to develop the best information in a way that we can enhance everything that we've been learning towards to something, not just to finish the program by the middle of the semester, but we would like to enhance for more funds and go after in a way that we can meet, have other types of combinations for the projects in the next or third wave. And we also have the knowledge game, and it's the tools. That's when we have to learn, we are having the opportunity to learn such amount of tools and contents and information, not just from ourselves, but also for all the content that we're learning from Prosocial world and from Robert's actually experiences that he's been having. But at the same time, we're bringing Sole, we are bringing Beth, we are bringing so much of us to also come and share what type of contents and knowledge and information that we can be adding and building this information, ensuing all this content to a best opportunity to work together. So just as a general information, let me see. Okay. Ceci, can I finish that? Then we can bring up your presentation. Is that okay? Okay. Oops, sorry. Now I am the one fighting with my. So when we talk about that, that's what we like to say as a project general calendar, right? That's what the vision that we have by this middle of this year. Then related to the game of fundraising that we are talking to, we have two major information. So one is information needed for our program report. And I'm gonna invite Beth to share a little bit about when we talk about the program, we have some types of agreements of answering surveys, quantitative data, qualitative data. People who is a research here knows and understands more than, for example, I am more grassroots level action-driven person. So it's a good time to learn. So can I open for you, Beth, for a little while to see what type of guidelines is important for us to have and learn in a way that we can combine those efforts too.
Thank you, Michelle. So I put together, sorry, I got distracted. Let's see. Robert was sending me, Robert, would you like me to share that, or is that just for later reference?
Maybe thanks, Michelle. It's and everybody. I'm assuming, Beth, you're going to talk about surveys?
Yes, the document that I had put together with just some suggestions of quantitative outcomes, and then also when for cycle one, setting the stage, having a baseline snapshot of context if we're going to put in the report, the potential impact, those kinds of things. That's what I was going to talk about.
Okay.
And then some potential survey questions. And I think the potential survey questions that I put in this document that I just shared with Michelle were pulled from the pre-post survey.
Yeah, gotcha. So okay. So just so everybody knows what we're talking about.
Yes, please.
I'm sure.
Please, Robert,
I'm sure you could all empathize with Beth and I, because we're leaping from project to project, and Beth has been doing amazing work in the background, preparing for us to be able to evaluate what we're doing, and I just shared with her the survey that I prepared last year. So we're kind of doing stuff on the fly. So I'll hand it back to you, Beth. And if you need to pull up the survey to take a look, it's our standard pre and post survey, just so you know.
Okay. Well, I don't think that I've got it pulled up, but I don't really need to share it with
No, that's fine. You go. You just go for it. Do your thing. You do your magic.
Okay. So as I was saying, I think it's really helpful to set the stage in the report and to quantify the need or to establish the, like I said, the baseline snapshot. What's the potential impact? This was before you started your project. So I had put some examples on this piece of paper here, but I don't know enough about your projects to where I could really have an informed list of what types of things that we could count. So for example, number of hectares of non-fertile ground that has regenerative potential. Then for cycle 2, then the number of hectares that are in the process of being regenerated. So we're looking at, what was the need? What was it then? Now cycle 2, how many people have you reached? How many hectares have you improved? So those are two things, setting the baseline and then capturing just numbers. So number of individuals that experience change attributable to your project activities, whatever that project entails, because it's all very different. Each one of your projects is very different. So those are the types of numbers that I had in mind, but you all are the ones that are most familiar with your projects. And so for you to think about a list of things to quantify would be very helpful for that aspect. And then it seems like we would like to do some surveys, and that was something I wanted to put to the group to see, and to see whether the frequency, the cadence of the surveying. Do we want to do one now and then in August? Do we want to do one bi-weekly? I think it might depend on what we're trying to capture. So I'll stop there and see if Robert or Michelle or anyone has any questions or something to contribute.
Thank you, Beth. Would you like to share that document, and maybe we can just have an ideas and spread out, because we have very good researchers here too, and then they might be able to come and give suggestions, and that's what we would like to open. Maybe that document can be shared, just a shareable file, and then after we can also have the space. So I would like to invite all the researchers in the space, which we have, and we're very fortunate to have all of you here. If you would like to take a look and also to give suggestions for us, and also if you would like to be together in specific meeting with Beth, what would you like to ask you as, yes, that's good. Very good, Mari. So Marli is already sharing a couple of the things in Portuguese, saying that the alignment of participants of the university and also from the indigenous people could be an indicator. So if everyone could bring suggestions from your own organization, we could have what could be the first level of impact. So this is a quantitative data. For example, what is the impact we have today in our project? Oh, in this project, I have the impact of this amount of students or this amount of people directly. How many of those people are indirectly impacted? So for example, if we have in the Mari's village, they have her own village, they have the other 2 villages that are close, but they have impact in the students of university. They have teachers and professors being impacted. If we think second level, we have their husbands, we have their families, they have other organizations around it that can be impacted as well. So anything, and for example, who is actually in the fields where you have hectares of regeneration of the forest? How many kilometers, hectares, or area it's being actually impacted also as a territory that is being regenerated? So any information that you could have as a suggestion that you could measure what type of impact your organization is already making, please send us, because can be a first level impact, a second level impact, it can be a third level impact. by the time it's a third level impact, for example, for Mari example, we could have an opportunity to spread out to all the Guaranis in Brazil and in third level potentiality. Because when we talk about potentials for fundraising, if they can see the amount of huge opportunity of impact that we can make with our projects, with all our organizations together, that emphasizes even more the potential for us to get the funds. So by the time we have just our small project, it's already something amazing. But by the time we can tell them that we are impacting directly this, indirectly this level, and maybe this amount of possibility in the third level in scale, it's a way that we can talk in a broader scale with more and have more possibilities and opportunities for our third year of project. Is that right, Robert and Beth? Is that what I'm saying? Is it okay?
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And I think I just want to check with both of you, and I guess everybody. Do you imagine this, capturing the kind of important numbers associated with what we're doing will be a great complement with the participatory video?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say something about that, Michelle or Miss Beth?
I think you said it.
Yeah, because I know Oscar.
Yes,
Oscar.
That's why we're gonna ask Oscar to say after. We're also considering that as data for information of development. There are a couple of suggestions for data of qualitative and quantitative data that Beth and Sully also had shared before. So considering participatory video or the video itself, the individual videos, I'm gonna invite Oscar to share a little bit more in a little while. Every single video of our experience, like these meetings and everything, they can become also data for our development of this co-creation and collaborative community. But in the video that we're gonna do collectively, at the same time, we have this quantitative data, which is really basic of the impact we're having on the field. And then we also gonna have a couple of probably surveys. That's what Beth was saying. That is considering the reflections we're going. That's, for example, of our tools and contents that we are learning, how we are learning to work together better with the principles and some of the questions and assertives that is needed according to prosocial content methodology. Yes, Robert.
I wonder. I think this is great. I'd love to hear everybody say a little bit about what numbers they'd like to match with their video, because I'm thinking Matthias, the work you're doing in schools, and Marilini, the work you're doing in your villages, and Ricardo, the stuff you're doing, Lorenza, through the soccer, and I know Marley with your university. So I'd love to do a round and hear from each of you what kind of numbers could you associate with a video, just really briefly.
Can we get? Is it possible to have that as a homework? And then maybe we can have that and then people can share, because today we have the organizations of the presentations for them. And then maybe we can add that in our organizational, like by the time you guys start speaking and presenting your own organizations today, for the ones who are going to be presenting today, try to bring ideas and suggestions of your own organization already from this perspective that Robert had just asked us. Is it okay? I think Ceci, Lorenza, Mari, Mateus, Oscar, is it okay for you today? I know this was not a guideline, but if you have already an idea, what type of content would you like to share and measure? When you're presenting your organizations today, we can also add that. Is it okay, Robert? So we can
maybe keep going. I wonder if anybody feels called to, just pop it in the chat now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you have any suggestions and ideas about how you would like to measure the impact of your own organization, just put in the chat.
Or if anyone has any questions about what we just said, then maybe please express.
Yes. Yes, Oscar, please go.
Vale. Sí, la cuestión de cuantificar es muy importante. sobre todo en los proyectos.
The idea of quantifying the impact is very important, just to measure what is the incidence in the communities. In the videos, we realize it depends how much we would
A veces
like
los números y todo no son muy
to
relevantes.
reflect on the space we give to the quantitative numbers. It depends on the intention you have. Perhaps you want to attract people, but it's important to have present that to give a context to the quantitative information, we have to decide by doing the video how much information do we want to include in the video, in the quantitative sense or in the practical sense. For example, in my case, we are developing a process. We are seeing things in long term. So we are not, our work it's done at the long term. So it could be a little bit a hurry to put things in numbers. But I ask myself now, what it will be the idea about the quantitative information. For example, in my case, because it's a process, it's not a punctual investigation.
Beth, I think that was a question for you.
Well, I, in all transparency, was distracted reading the chat. So I apologize for that I missed the last part. I did hear that it's I agree with what you were saying about the importance of the qualitative and the quantitative and who's the audience, and then I really apologize. I missed the last half. Robert, could you
Yeah, sure. So
for me?
Oscar, do you just want to repeat your question again? Your key question?
No, es que en nuestro caso,
in our case, more than being our projects are part of a big process in the long term when we are working with youngsters. So to be able to measure in 1 or 3 months a work sometimes is difficult. I don't know how to do it, just to measure, for example, how much did they have learned, how much they have achieved, because all those changes are measurable in the long term. I don't see how to measure those changes in a few months. I can give a hint of the work we have done in the last years to make the point clear.
Okay, thank you for
I would like to add.
Solo para agregar algún.
I just would like to add something, thinking of what Oscar says. In my case, for example, Ricardo says, for example, today I can make a workshop for 30 people, but next month there are only 10 persons who assist to my workshop. So we have to take into account this variation in quantitative terms, which are not necessarily mean a less impact, but it's just simple variations in time. I understand that what Oscar is saying, he's working on a process and they are not working on punctual results, but more in something which is measurable in the long run.
Okay,
and we need to discuss that in terms of methodology.
I have a response, but I see that Matthew has his hand.
No, I'd just like to leave a contribution here, something that I thought and also that I'm going to do in my master's research. In addition to measuring the impact, I think a first step would be to measure the need for the project itself. So in my project, I'm going to do a first collection by measuring indicators of optimization among peers and skills for life, which is the work that I do, and then say, okay, children, in relation to that, children are like that. So this project can help, especially in these and these indicators that are here. And let's say they're lacking and they're missing, so they can help. And also, I'm going to do this collection with the teachers, with the professors, to see their need for the project. So I think we can do this first collection, let's say, research by asking the opinion of people, like, what do you think about this project? How is it necessary? What do you expect? Maybe that is useful to justify the need for our broader project.
And I mean, I can add something too. Beth, do you want to speak first, then I can add something as well, because it's a great question, Oscar.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that Matthias, you pretty much said in what I probably would have said, but you said it more articulate. For you, Oscar or Ricardo, the process. So it's not an impact. It's at this point, it's not an impact. You're not capturing the impact. It's because it's going to be long-term. So then I would suggest it's just the capturing the process, and then what Matthias said, and the need and the potential.
The other, I think there's scope for anyone who has questions about this to actually reach out to, through Michelle to Beth or I, and we can unpack it. But Oscar, I mean, the other thing, a lot of your work is qualitative. I mean, when I've watched videos that you and Ceci have made and got an insight into how you work with children, the kind of story that you would tell, I imagine that would have a big impact on anyone who would read a report, would be the stories of the children. This was just a wonderful experience. My life changed in this way. And then the numbers would be, we worked with 10 children in a community of 30. And if we did more of this, we could reach more than 30. We could reach 500.
So the potential.
Yeah, something like that. Does that help?
Sí, es.
Yes. Is one of the purposes we have. We wanted to scale up our school to other communities, but maintaining a type of workshop that we did already this type of job, that we did a workshop for 10 children and we never came back. But since here we are working in this space at the long term in a process, we want to see how this process of change takes place here. We would like really to see and measure this.
Yeah. So I think you get their stories at the beginning and stories at the end, and the number of people who told their story, and the number of people that the number of people that they reached through their work. Marley, I can see you've got your name.
Na verdade, eu acho que é mais uma
Actually,
pergunta.
I think it's more of a question. Yeah, please, Oscar.
I think that the way to measure that, it will be interviewing the parents, the teachers, the community. That will be perhaps a way to measure the impact.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Marli, pode ir.
Na verdade, é mais uma pergunta.
Yeah, actually, it's a question that I have to contribute and also to clarify something for me. Because the indicators or these metrics, if they need to necessarily be in numbers, or if we can use visual strategies like mental maps showing what came, that's not necessarily a number, but it's also valuable. So it's more of a question really that I'd like to ask.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I certainly, this project, and Michelle and you all keep reminding me, it's so much more than the numbers. It is so much more than just the numbers, but from that funding perspective, you've got the audience that wants numbers, and then you have the audience that wants the mental map and the things that you were mentioning, Marley and Oscar. So that is beautiful. That's beautiful. That's outcomes to me.
Yeah. So does that make sense, Marley? I mean, I think we need both. We need the stories from parents, as Oscar's saying, and we need the drawings that people have said we've made new sense of the world, and it's making a big difference. And then and I think we use our common sense. Most of us will be able to say, we did this with 15 people in a university of this many or something. So I think you just need to attach to it the numbers that make sense. And if you can somehow track a journey, like if you said, Marley, at the beginning of this, in the law faculty at your university, we were working with 15 students. And this was the aim and their purpose and where we started. And at the end, this is where we finished up. And this is what it looked like in terms of a journey. And this was a pilot project of 15 people. Next year, we would like to roll it out to the whole, 30 more students or something. So it's just the natural numbers that would go with it, I think.
Yes. So just to have an idea, this is the first time. Thank you, Marley. This is the first time we're actually bringing this as a collective process, because every time I was talking with Beth, I was trying to understand what was the challenges we were having to actually write this report, but at the same time, how I can learn how to talk with people who could be investing and funding us in the next level. So by the time we need to learn about that and put our energy towards to something that all of our organizations can be getting a good outcome out of this, and also how we can actually extend the experience together with all of us, but giving and having the support and assistance to enhance what we are having and what type of experiences we are going through, in a way that we can promote the change. We are having the change, but how we can add our efforts towards to something that everything and everyone who is involved can be benefited. And at the same time, when we talk to people, how they can see the value of what we're actually doing as an ecosystem in Latin America. So this is one of the main intentions and aspirations, how we can learn. So this is another game. It's one game of how we can learn each other, and at the same time, how we can learn how to work with each other towards to something that is common to all of us. All the organizations said that funds is always something that it's needed to improve, and that's needed. So how can we do that? Since this is a common issue, we can work together in a way that by the time we're working with every organization separately has one impact, but all of our organizations working together, we have a better conversation with people, right? That could be interested in what we're doing. So what we need to do as a collective to work and talk in the language they can understand. So quantitative, qualitative, touching with their hearts with the video, touching with their hearts and the minds with the numbers. So how can we do that? This is our fundraising game. So this is what we talk on the left side. We're bringing a little bit of the information. I know all the co-facilitators together, we had a plan. We're kind of changing a little bit, but I thought it was important to bring a little bit about this content, and then we can have more time. By the time now, all of us have kind of the guidelines, the perspective. So we do our homework. What type of numbers? How can I measure? I cannot measure. Yes, I can. So we can bring in another space in a way that we can exchange our ideas and share, and also to have some outcomes from each other. Okay? Is it okay to be like that? But if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, Beth, can you share your email in the WhatsApp and in the chat? Any information, Beth is our research together with Robert, but together in this project also to help and assist us to gather this information and write some of the guidelines that both of them are telling us, because Robert has a schedule that is just crazy. So many different projects all the time. That's why I'm asking Beth, right, Robert? or everybody's going to be sending emails, and I know you already have so many. So let's try to just focus on that. So any questions, any suggestions, please send to her. If there is any difficulty about not writing in English, please let me know. Then I can try to add and translate that to you. Just put me in copy, and then I can translate. Or if it's an email, Marcelo, can you share Lingui in the chat? We have a Lingui translator. It's a kind of a Google translator. And then if you would like to use, just put it down. And if there is something that gets too awkward in translation, I can help. But if not, it's okay. We just work with the flow, right? Not just to be perfect, but make it happen, okay? To have all that, I would like just to see anybody has any questions or any suggestions related to this topic. Can we go to the next stop? Because one of the things that we had, okay, I know I need to wait because I just go like, and then I need to wait for the translation. Sorry, ladies, but it's a cutoff. I'll do my best to slow down. So one of the things that we thought about it's actually to combine and have our experience also to be one of the aspects of the difference that we have in this program. So how is our relationship here? And at the same time, how can we gather the quality of this whole program that is not just numbers, but also is visual? We had last year the possibility to work with participatory video individually. In every single organization, we have one. But in this space, we're having the opportunity to think about our journey together as a next step of a video making. And for this one, we're so fortunate that we're having Sole as our mentor for that. But even more, that we do have someone from our team who is Oscar, who's a great video maker and producer. I tell him he's our TWCF Prosocial director, film director. And then he's also helping us to assist in technical, and not just technical, but also to assist us in co-creating this design of how our journey is going to be shared. So for today, one of the agreements that we had, and then Oscar will share, we have a couple of the agreements that we would like to take from all of you. That is, after every single meeting, we can have our individual, like 10 seconds if we're very good, but very short videos of a debrief of a question that we can combine every single meeting. I know this is a lot, but it's going to be super fun by the time we can say. This is one way that we can take our recordings, and also it's going to be a self-reflection, but we're going to be recording and posting everything in the Google Drive. So can I pass it to you, Oscar, to talk a little bit more and to see how do you see the importance of that, and what are the guidelines you would like to share with us so we can take that as a guideline too?
Vale, sí, habíamos hablado de
We were talking to make homogeneous the format. So the first thing is to use always horizontal, our telephone, to make these videos, because like that it will fit our screen. So that's why we make the invitation to do it always horizontal. And I think that is important. We also
promedio 30
thought we also discussed that the idea is to share these 30-second thoughts about the thoughts, the feelings, the knowledge I acquired, whatever you want to share. So the idea is that you record that video the same day, not to wait too long to do that video, because you will lose the information. We would like this fresh information we want to have this discipline to do it after each meeting, to assume this task continuously, just to have material that we can use afterwards. And I would like to add as well something important, and it's from the technical point of view, is to choose a place which is quiet, not to go in the middle of a highway or people talking on the background. So the idea is that you are alone while you are doing that, and look for a good light to have in the background so that the image can come as clear as possible. So take care of the illumination and the noise restrictions around you to do your videos, of course.
Is it okay for everyone? If it's okay for you to take this a collective agreement, just like that, or either with icon or with your hands. Yes. So for that, I'm gonna share with all of you a Google Drive where we actually probably have everybody's name on it, in a way that you can upload all the videos that you're having. That's no problem, just to have your own in your own language that you feel the most comfortable. I'm not sure how we're gonna do after, Oscar, but because we're gonna have all different languages, but that's gonna be a challenge that we're gonna go over. I think it's gonna be wonderful. But thank you so much, Oscar, for all your facilitation, your skills being brought to this whole content, and much appreciation to you and all your efforts and advices for us. So thank you so much. And at the same time, I know we're going very fast now. If you have any questions about the video recordings or anything, please just put in the chat. Today, I know I'm in a very hurry, but it's been wonderful, I hope, to everybody. I would like to honor a couple of the other things that they said. Just very fast, I would like to share very fast, and then I'm done with my part, and then I'll go to Ceci. I would like to just have a very brief overview related to the funds, and I would like to leave a couple of questions, okay? So was my project approved to receive the fund? Yes, we had 10 projects applied for the funds, and all the 10 were accepted. But there is another question that I would like to take under consideration. Is my organization attending the meetings and engaging in this community? It doesn't need to be just this, because we have a separate group with a couple of organizations who are in different time zones, and most of them are in North America, that they're also attending, right? But it's in a different space, which they still keep on remaining with their energy, but in a different way. But I would like to drop that. Is my organization attending the meetings and engaging in this community? So we can actually reflect upon if it's being fair, if I'm not attending, even though I got my project proposal accepted, but nobody's coming to this ecosystem, right? But I'll leave that as a reflection, and then I'm gonna send also to the organizations who got the possibility to get the fund, but unfortunately, or for some other reasons, they're not coming to this space. So this is something we're gonna say. And how the payments are going to be made. I'm gonna have the meeting with Ashley, and she's probably gonna be the one sending you and sharing the information. But the main idea will be in 2 times. So we're gonna have probably this month the half part of the fund for the 1,000 is gonna be 500 now, and 500 at the end, right? Always around those possibilities that we just had. Okay, and then she's gonna send directly to all of you the organizations and the dynamics of what is actually needed. Okay, I need to do that. You need an invoice, or you need to send a receipt, or you need to do something related to that. She's gonna be the one actually supporting and assisting us. Is there any question about that, or any recommendation or something? Yes. Okay, so by the time I'm done with that, I would like to see Ceci. I'm so sorry for the time. It got a little bit more than I thought. Perdón, pero ahora estamos listos para ver su presentación y su video, para traer un poco más de energía en empezar las presentaciones de organizaciones. Si tú gustarías empezar haces tu presentación primero con su organización en su video individual. ¿Puede ser?
Ok, perfecto.
Well, perfect. Ana, could you please share the video and I will go afterwards with my presentation.
¿Puedo compartir?
When I am aware that every day in the morning, the one who takes trees and birds for a walk, as if they were its trees and birds, I am instantly persuaded that it's a joy to live, and my eyes open entirely to the beauty of all forms of existence. However, I find it hard to understand why sometimes I feel that my happiness seems to be suspended in mid-air, like a cloud waiting to condense enough water to fall down afterwards. I open my hands waiting for my happiness, sure it will fall under its own weight. But I must confess that when it takes too long to do so, I open my doors and my windows and let in feeling mistrust of creep in.
Empiezan las letras, los textos, y a Maritza y a Carolina para ver si nos pueden ayudar con las traducciones que les envié, por favor.
Sí, ellas las tradujeron, Ceci.
¿Ah, sí?
Creo que
sorry.
Marisa lo hizo en inglés, sí.
Ah, qué bueno. Listo. Muchísimas gracias. Y ahora les quiero compartir mi presentación. Que me encuentro. Ahí se ve. ¿Están viendo mi pantalla?
Sí.
Hola Ceci, perdón, si puedes hablar más cerca del micrófono, es mejor para oírla, ¿sí? Gracias.
Ok, ahí está mejor. ¿O no? ¿Sí me escuchan bien?
Sí, maravilloso, sí.
Perfecto. Bueno, entonces voy a tratar de hacerlo lo más rápido posible. El nombre
Ceci, ahora no estamos viendo su pantalla con la presentación, solamente como los archivos.
Oh, no.
Calma,
Sí,
está
pues,
todo bien. No.
Pero pues aquí dice que estoy compartiendo archivo. Debe ser mi computador que ya está un poco viejito y debe tener problemas. Por favor.
Compártelo.
creo que
Sí, perdón,
prime-
perdón, Ricardo.
no, disculpa Marcelo. Primero reproduce el video y luego si compartes la pantalla y cuando le das compartir seleccionas la ventana que es el video ya reproducido.
Es
O
que
si
no es
no,
video, es una presentación. un
Ok, bueno,
PowerPoint.
pero igual, mira, para de compartir, abres el
Ajá.
PowerPoint y
Mira,
luego le das compartir desde Zoom y eliges la ventanita que tiene el PowerPoint.
ahí sí. Ok.
Sí, perfecto.
Por fin, por fin.
Muy bien.
Bueno, entonces les quiero contar, mi proyecto se llama Colectivo Sintrópico de Barichara.
Sí, sí, solamente una cosita más. Si puede poner en el modo presentación, es abajo. Hay un...
Ahora,
Sí, bien, gracias.
ahí ya está bien.
No todavía, pero sí. Está casi ya. Sí, Sí.
Dando y no sé qué pasa. Ya, por fin,
Ah,
por fin, por fin.
sí, muy bien. Gracias.
Bueno, listo.
Well,
Entonces,
finally.
mi proyecto, el proyecto
My project is called,
personas que estamos aquí
well,
en estas
we're all
fotos,
these people here
se llama
is
Colectivo
integrated,
Sintrópico de
is
Barichara.
called Collective of Syntropic Agriculture, which has the dream to become a school
Que
at
cuando
a certain in the future. It all started with a dream. It all started with a dream. I arrived to Barichara from Mexico with my partner. It's a place with beautiful landscapes. And after we arrived, we found that there was this type of landscape that make us feel pain in our hearts. Decades of monoculture and animal agriculture had made that this territory lost 225,000 hectares of dry rainforest. So we ask ourselves, what can we do to regenerate the ecosystems and to reverse the damage? We search through Google methods to regenerate the soil. And so we found, and we had news of Ernst Koch that surprised us because he showed us the dramatic changes that he was able to manage from a desert-like degraded landscape, and 30 years afterwards, it was a forest, a green dry forest where it rains. A complete miracle. This landscape became fully productive. And that is exactly what we found out, the syntropic agriculture. What it is about when we talk about syntropic agriculture is just putting in place all the knowledge that Ernst Koch had. He was a Swiss. He mixed all his knowledge with ancestral knowledge. He left Switzerland and lived in the rainforest in Brazil and got in touch with indigenous communities and made a fusion of these traditional techniques and his knowledge. And we achieved through this work not only reforestation, regeneration of soil, but we produce also food for self-consumption and also the rehabilitation of hydric sources. And since we were dreaming, and the dream came true because we thought that we had to go to Brazil to learn about syntropic agriculture, but life put in our path this young man who is called Paco, who came here to teach us syntropic agriculture. And from that point of view, from that very first moment, everything changed. That was the first workshop, and everyone who took part fall in love with that technique. And we realized that we were able to start a process, not a simple workshop. And so we wanted to impact in 3 levels: educational, environmental, and social level. So how do we combine environmental and educational components of our project? We start with workshops, and we did our first workshop in April 2022 in a very special location, which is a park called Moncora in Barichara, and our main emphasis was then reforestation. We just wanted to put trees in this park. Then, in August 2022, we did the second workshop, and the emphasis was on food security in a space which is called Communal Orchard. And this place, which started to run after the pandemic, this initiative came into place, and we started to work on a communal basis, and we keep up this effort. And the third workshop was in April 2023, and the emphasis was in medicinal plants. Besides the workshops, the people who get trained in syntropic agriculture, we start also a social and environmental practice. And we do that through a meeting that we call Mingas. It's an indigenous word that call up people to work together to put an effort on a common purpose. So we started to work and we started to continue with in the communal orchard with our work, and more and more people, some come in and start to work with us. Now we are also working on the educational component of our project, because we want to start to work with children with an emphasis on food security again and reforestation. What is the kind of impact that we have had? I don't have it in numbers, but I have here facts, and that is that the net of enthusiasts of syntropic agriculture is growing. Farmers, local farmers, have understood that this technique is powerful, and they have started to implement these techniques in their own farms. And they have started to apply these techniques in their own private plots. We continue strengthening capacitation training in the so-called syntropic collective group of people who is willing to learn more and getting deep knowledge of these processes. Other impact that we want to work to make evident the link between regeneration of earth and food security, and of course the transformation of habits of consumption. Because we don't manage anything if we only focus on reforestation, if we don't try to be critical of our own habits. So our practice of consumption is also an issue for us. And the last impact is that more and more people are adding to these efforts, and professionals who make stronger the process of regeneration in our territory. We have people who are allies who started to work with us. And we want to measure now exactly what in terms of trees and plants is the impact of our work.
Cuando ustedes hablan de número de hectáreas, en este punto no se
When you talk about of numbers of hectares, since we are combining educational efforts with regenerative efforts, for us it's more important to strengthen this link between the social and the educational components of our project. It's not the hectares which is important, but the fact that we're interweaving together. What are we dreaming about? We want to consolidate a school of syntropic agriculture in Barichara, which does have global impact and may be scaled up in other places. We want to work on reforestation, food security, and to generate different sources of incomes for agriculture. We want to strengthen as well a center of investigation, exchange, and learning processes around syntropic agriculture and habits of healthy ways of cultivating food for ourselves. We want to work as well in the relation with ourselves to heal our own processes, to be able to heal the planet. And we dream to establish links with people who is doing processes on similar fields as we do. For example, with Oscar, we work with the children that go to their schools. The products that we produce in our orchard, we bring it to a communal market that we have in Barichara. So there is a great infrastructure in Barichara that allows this interweaving of our efforts in our territory. And we want to strengthen that. That's what I have to share.
It's amazing.
Desculpa, Robert. Quer comentar alguma coisa?
Sorry, Robert, would you like to say something?
I'd just like to say absolutely amazing, Ceci.
Sim, muito legal o projeto da Ceci.
Yeah, wonderful project, Ceci. And looking at her presenting here, I was already imagining how I could put the schools that participate in DIGA to do a project like that. And even, recently a teacher from a school at DIGA, the school that I studied actually, she complained that close to the school, there's a forest and people are, harming this forest, and she would like to do reforestation there. So there's a possibility there. I don't know if we can do that in a school, but it's a possibility of having a collaboration. And speaking of which, I'd like to ask Ceci to say a few words here, because what Ceci did was present her project, and that was a request that was taking place since the first session that we had in this journey, and maybe even last year, that was the request. And the proposal for this activity that Ceci started was precisely that we may share our projects with each other and also think about the possibility of having a cooperation. And so in this journey, and in this meeting and in the next meeting, and maybe in another one, I don't know, we will share our projects from our organizations. And I'd just like to pass a few orientations, a few guidelines for you. As Ceci did, we will have 5 minutes of presentation for each project, okay? And also 5 more minutes for discussion. In relation to the presentation, there is a question that we could try to answer. I'm going to share this question with you on the chat, and I'll read it. We would like, and you can do the presentation in a very free manner, but the ideal thing would be for us to think about what is necessary to know about your project so that we can build connections among ourselves. So in these 5 minutes that we will have to present, what do we need to know about your project so that we can propose something and we can collaborate. And after you present, the discussion will take place in the following environment. I think I'm going to share my screen with you so that I can say this as fast as possible because we have other presentations today. I have a structure here of the presentations that I'm going to share with you afterwards. Can you see it? Can you see the screen? Yep. Yeah, we can look at your mirror, right? So here, I'm going to zoom out and show you that in the previous meeting, we filled a few baskets with what we had to offer individually for this project. And the idea is to do something very similar. After each presentation, we're going to fill a map with the baskets, and then we're going to have these exchanges. And for this moment, the one who was going to mediate this step would be Marilene. Mari, could you explain how that would go? And I'm going to share the link with you. Right, so we're going to put what we can offer from the knowledge that we have from each organization and to see what each organization can give so that we can exchange things. We indigenous people, we understand this exchange a lot because the basis of our life is to exchange things and knowledge. And, you know, knowledge always spreads out and reverberates. And so when you do these exchanges, you always end up learning something. And so our organizations are going to be able to exchange things. They're going to be able to schedule time to do these exchanges of knowledge. Thank you, Mari. So I'm going to show you the link, and now we will have 5 minutes, okay? For us to fill those baskets. Thinking about Ceci's presentation, what do we see in terms of perspectives for collaboration, questions or comments that you might have? Can we do that? Oh, Michelle already shared it. Good. The link. Thank you. So now we can go to Miro and do our exchange, and then we can come back. And also at this time, we can have a discussion afterwards. Okay? Right. Can I just say something, Matthews? I'm going to have a space here because of our time. We won't have time for all other organizations to present. I think we have time for just one more. So from the people who were organized to say things today, like Matthews, Mari, Lorenza, and Oscar, would anybody like to do the presentation today? Or who could do the presentation next time? I can do that next time. Marilene is also saying that on the chat.
Oscar,
Yeah, Mari's saying that on the
Oscar
chat.
says
Right,
that he
Mari.
can do it the next time.
Marilene, right? Matthews and Lorenza. Yeah, I can also do that next time. Actually, it's
Lorenza can
all the
also
same
do
to
it
me.
next,
Right. Okay,
next
so
occasion.
Matthews, you will do the presentation today, okay? Yeah, I'm going to present tomorrow something similar, so it's good for me to practice today with you. Right. So we will have around here something that's very interesting. Can I say an example of what I put here on the baskets? I'm just going to share an example with you. I'm going to speak English, so that's it's easier.
I was just putting as an example, for example, congratulations, Ceci. So I would like to actually ask you all if you could give Colectivo Sintrópico Barichara something that you would like to offer as an appreciation. So if you would like to say like a heart or something, just to give us some energy in the basket of the Collective Sintrópico. If you would like to see how you can use this mural board, you have the icon finder, but also you can draw if you would like to use a pen or a pencil, but just put some love or some appreciation in icons for Collective Sintrópico in Barichara. So this is one of the first offerings I would like to suggest. Second of all, there's something that I would like to share when she was saying there is a project in Brazil, which is the project of Sebastião Salgado that probably Ceci had heard. If not, it's an amazing couple who had something unbelievable as a regeneration part in Brazil. So I'm offering you an article about this organization, and hopefully sometime you can come to Brazil and visit this place, which is also something that I would like to visit. So this is something. And I know I'm not Kagyu meeting, but I'm also working together with Mari, right? So also something that I posted here as something that I could, if I was Kagyu meeting, just as an example, I would love to have a couple of the talleres, the workshops and things that you are already having, exchanging with some of the content it needs and also with the wisdom that this community has. So this is an example. Just because Collabsol also is also supporting Kagyu meeting. So if, for example, Marli, would you like to have a basket just for Univili? It's also something that we can make, and then we can share and suggest and offer something that we can give and receive. Is that clear? That actually something that Mateus was giving a suggestion. Do you all feel comfortable about using Middleboard? Yeah? Okay. So I'm gonna put a basket for Univili as well. Okay, Marli. So if you would like to have something specific for Univili, it's also something that is possible to be posted here.
Obrigada, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
E pessoal, fiquem à vontade também para
And
abrir o microfone.
guys, feel free to open your mics and comment and fill out the basket and mirror. I think we can fill out in 2 more minutes, Michelle. What do you think? Can we have 2 more minutes to do that? Feel free to do that.
If you would like to write post-its, if you have questions, also you can offer. And then next level, if you would like anything that you could give as a gift, it can have a suggestion, it can have a question, it can get an appreciation to Ceci. Please feel comfortable about just post it, and not just today, but throughout the journey that we have. Because anything that we need, it's also any perspective added, it's a gift that we can give to someone, specifically for Ceci in this case. But that's gonna happen to everybody.
Hola, Ceci. Me gustaría de apreciarte por su trabajo y porque es un
I
trabajo
would like to recognize your work, Ceci,
pero también
because I see love for nature, love for people, and I would like to praise
y me gustaría de aprender
this place of collaboration that you have opened. And I would like to know more about how do you manage this collaboration in your own organization.
Presentarnos tu
Thank you, Ceci,
gran proyecto.
for the presentation of your project.
especialmente
which
como
has a huge impact. I like very much the way you underweave agricultural practices, knowledge, food security, education, and all those elements. I think that's very wonderful. It's very complex, but you manage to interweave all those elements with the people in the territory and in the relations you create with your work. So your concept, I think, is very well structured, and we will be glad to collaborate with you in anything we can.
Yeah.
I want just to clarify that it's not only my project, it's the making of many people. I am grateful to be able to give a face to the enormous team which is taking part in this effort. So I'm only one of many who is working in the Syntropic Collective. And I said that for me it's very important, as I said at the beginning, not to let mistrust creep in our daily lives. I just wanted to transmit that even though we manage happiness, sometimes we let mistrust creep in, but it's just part of our nature, and it's something that we have to learn to live with, because our nature is just a reflection of Mother Nature as well, human nature. And for me, it's important that we remain together in our efforts.
It's can I chime in? Ceci, I mean, I agree with what everyone said, what Ricardo's saying, but there's something that you just said too. It's just so profoundly important. You know, weaving together, environmental regeneration with education and social change. But it's deep, And what you just said is it's us together. And I'm feeling like the spirit of what you've been doing in Barichara is starting to show up in this group. And I was just looking at your video and your slides, and I can just see how many people this is reaching. And it's bringing to mind the presentations that everyone made last year. And I can remember there was one session where we did a guess at how many people, how many lives our collective work was touching. And it went past 1,000. This small group, we're touching the lives of more than 1,000 people. But now I'm working with Gail and Helen and Laura Kim and Terry, who are working internationally. I'll be bringing their story back as well. So your work is so seeping into their world. And Adrian's here. So he's with Terry. And so the breadth of what we're doing is enormous. And I don't think it's fully visible to us. I think you've given us a little window. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing everybody's projects and telling a really powerful story, because there's something we're doing that you just spoke about, Ceci, that is the story we can tell. That's the story I want to tell. Like, how do we reach so many people's lives in such a spiritual way, really? We're learning from nature and weaving it into our education and our society in a way that's actually changing the world in the way it has to be changed. It's just wonderful.
Yes, Adrian.
I was hoping to say one or two things about Ceci's presentation. So first of all, I would like to say congratulations to you guys, Ceci. I think you guys are doing a really great job. And I could actually relate with some of the things that you said. Like, I was amazed by the picture, seeing how the land was somehow, the forest was gone. And after some years, you can actually see the forest coming back. And I could relate with this because we also have a project site where we are also trying to come up with reforestation and all. Now we are facing problems from bushfires, intense agriculture, and now it's endangering the habitats of wildlife. So I think it's what you're doing is immense, and we could actually share ideas because, of course, when we talk about the environment, there's no one way to do things, right? We always have to be flexible. We share ideas on how we can actually move forward. So I think you guys are doing a great job, and I believe this community, like Robert always call it, we can actually do a lot of great things together. So good job, Ceci.
Oscar, por favor.
Sí, yo quiero agradecerle a
I
Ceci.
want to thank you, Ceci, for all the work they do in this territory. Part of my great-grandfathers were
Después de la revolución.
in part responsible for the degradation of these territories, because in the 1560s, when the tractors and biochemicals were used here,
Químicos, venenos
the
y demás.
agrochemical substances
Aquí hay mucho trabajo que
were used. That
yo
puts
sé
in evidence that there is a lot of work to do.
a hacer realidad.
The work they do is a kind
propósito.
of laboratory that it's possible to scale up. And I'm sure that this purpose that they have in El Pino, where the orchard, the communal orchard is taking place, and exactly the fact of interweaving our efforts, it's powerful, and it will reach not only a joint dimension, not only here in Barichara, but in other territories as well. Because we are working not only on repairing soil, but repairing communities, and that's marvelous. And thank you, Cesio, from the deep of my heart for the work you are doing.
Puedes llorar y puedas llorar conmigo, entonces vamos a llorar todos juntas porque es maravilloso.
Claro que ya estoy llorando desde hace rato.
Of course that I'm crying, but give me something to dry up my tears. I'm very emotional now.
Porque es una cosa de vida, una cosa de alma, de
It's just so beautiful to see your soul and your love in what you are doing. Thank you for sharing with us your presentation, for crying with me, so that because I feel also great to share also my tears with somebody, because I feel emotional as well. One of the things that I value most in my journey with Prosocial is exactly the opportunity, the fact that my life has a purpose, to realizing collectively that what I'm doing is making sense. So for me, this is marvelous, because I feel that my own life has been impacted positively by the way we are doing. So I just want to thank you for letting me be part of this community.
Lindo. Okay, yo voy get back. That's the hard part. Today I was talking with Mateo, so we have big apologies for him because of the time. And then we know, and this is something that we've been talking to a lot in our backstage with all the co-facilitators, the amount of energy that we're putting towards something that goes beyond us, and then we accept and take the time and the process, how it goes. So thank you, much appreciation to all of you co-facilitators who had prepared your material. And I know how much that takes time for today's session, but at the same time, like, just breathe that it's not today, it's gonna be in 2 weeks. But at the same time, if you would like to share or do something throughout this weekend, because we have 2 weeks for the next session, but if you really feel like your energy that you wanted to share now, like in between those 2 sessions, please feel comfortable about using our WhatsApp group and all the communications channels that we have to put your heart and share what you would like to do tonight. But unfortunately, we won't have the time. But don't miss the opportunity if you would like to share it, because all the community is more than open to take that possibility to feel the love and passion of your wonderful work in your space as well. So thank you, Mateus. Thank you to all the co-facilitators. Marcela, would you like to ask if you really need to have something today, or can I invite Lorenza for the checkout?
Eu gostaria de dizer algumas palavras, Mi, porque eu acredito que possa nos
I'd
ajudar.
like to say a few words, me, because I think they can help us move in the right direction. But I'll be brief. These words have to do with strengthening us in 2023, because that's a process that's entirely different from last year. And it has been a process to strengthen us as Latin America. And this is the message that I'd like to give you now, because everything's changing a lot this year in relation to what we did last year. And there's an essence that's beautiful coming from this change. And then I prepared 2 or 3 slides, artistic slides, for us to be connected with this change. It's very brief.
Eu gostaria de trazer para vocês
So I'd like to bring you a message that's a message that's very strong for us in Latin America, but for those who are not, it's also strong. We are the result of repetition culture, and this culture of repetition make us reproduce models from outside for a long time. And so I'd like to honor this space, because it's a space for bravery, that we break this reproduction of models. I know that Robert is very happy about this, and Beth, and also, and Adrian, I'd like to acknowledge you in this space as well, because it's a space that maybe it does not belong to Latin America alone, but it's a space in which we're able to overcome this colonization and have this internal strength. So I looked for modern art and expressions from Latin America, and we found signs of this independence, this courage, and it is in many artistic artworks. Many times they are pain, but they're also joy for us. So I'd like to bring this in the end. They are artists from Latin America that brought, by means of modern art, their own expression of who we are and what we can be. And I'm sure that this is happening now with us. So this is a message for autonomy and courage, but also for us to honor the models and everything that we have received from this project. So I will leave you these images to inspire us so that we can propose our own collaboration and our own governance.
Muito obrigada, muchas gracias. Sorry, just too many languages in the chat. Some people are telling me like, "Oh, you look too serious," and then I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just because I'm trying to answer so many questions in different languages in the chat and try to manage all this wonderful collective flow." But before like passing to, I'll ask for 5 more minutes, I think, and then I'll pass to Lorenza for the checkout. But I'm getting so many questions, and I would like to propose a different way that we are doing our sessions. We are doing every 2 weeks this meeting, this togetherness. I know this is going to keep a little bit more busy, but at the same time, it's going to be a little bit more fun, because then we're going to have the chance. We already have the translators every 2 weeks, because we are having our co-creation meetings with all these wonderful co-facilitators, also Beth and Robert and Soleil and so many different people that is also helping us to work. If all of you would like, I would like to make a new proposal. Instead of us having just like every 2 weeks, if you would like to be attending this program every Wednesday from now to the end, specifically in this time where we will have more time then to get to know more about each other's project. So if you would like to, if this is a new combination and this is a new proposal, so I would like to see if it's okay for you. Would you like to come on board and have this weekly meeting basis? If yes, like that. If no, it's okay because this is like that. And if you have any questions or new proposal, just do like that. I know I need to wait for translation because that's.
I think, Michelle, in our case, it's going to be a little bit tough because now it's 7 hours difference, times difference with Brazil. But we can see options.
Yes. Do you have other options? Or
I will try to think further and perhaps we get in contact with you.
okay, perfect. A mí me gustaría, pero tengo la tiempo de pasar y el programa del resto de los días. For the facilitators, we can change. So instead of having Wednesdays, our co-creation lab, we will do all together in this space, and we will try to adjust our co-creation in between those other sessions we already have.
I mean, personally, I think this is a great idea because there's not many of us are here as co-facilitators, and there's a few extra join us in these meetings for the dialogues. And given that this is becoming so practical, we're going to be doing projects and trying to figure out how we can support each other. I think it's a great idea, Michelle, that we just start coming together. Like already I can see from today that Matthias was saying, Ceci, there's a way in which we could perhaps work together. And Ricardo, I mean, you and Lena in a really difficult situation. Maybe there's scope for separate one-on-one conversations just with you and Lena to help you move forward. And because I've got a hunch that once we hear each other's story, we are the team. This is it. And if we can support each other with these projects, boy, oh boy, we're going to have a powerful story to tell. You know, and I just see the way that Marley, you know, she's got the extraordinary way of bringing wisdom to what we're doing. And so she could do a lot of coaching for us, for example. I think it's a great idea. And I need to sign off, folks. I'm meant to be at another meeting. So I'll give you my love and I'll see you next time.